live stream on, please? Thank you.
Yep, just doing it now.
Okay, right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Working Party. Item 1, welcome. To note that this working party has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to full council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority given to clerk and the chair. Thank you. Item 2. Vicky, apologies for absence. Anyone?
Councillor Bruce Davidson.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. Anyone? No. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. Oh no, not that one. Okay, may I sign these as a true record? Can I have a proposer? Councillor Liz Smith, and can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Tony Brown. Right. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Right, the next item is matters arising from those minutes. Page 243. Are you going to get them up, Vicky?
I'm just trying to, just bear with me.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I can do that if you want, Vicky.
Oh, thank you. I've got them up on my desktop, but I can't get them to show.
Thank you. It's 243. Go up now, please. That's it. Oh, can you go down a bit? Because that was a bit quick. Thank you. Okay, 244. This is street naming. We have received letters on emails on that from you, Vicky, haven't we?
Yeah.
Is there anyone want to speak on that one at all? No. Okay. Go up a bit more, please, Colin. To P21 173 planning conditions. This is standard conditions, could be easily incorporated in the application. Anything on that, Vicky?
No, I have sent a response, but I have had nothing back.
Okay. Can you go up a bit more, please? Okay. 245. Yeah, who do I report to on this? Because they've left 3 old lights in my road. Do I get in touch with the address that's on the lamppost, or the phone number, or whatever? Can anyone help me out on this? Because they've been since our last meeting and they haven't come back. Councillor Burns?
Normally, Pat, they know exactly what's going on, and often it's because the lighting fitment, it's a bit like the stuff at the Kangle, is not standard, and they've had to normally go off and order new parts.
Oh, right. Okay. Right, I shall wait then. Thank you for that. Any other comments on that at all? No? Thank you. you very much. Item 6, which is members of the public to speak. Is there any members of the public, Colin?
No, Chair.
Item 7, to consider planning applications to West Suffolk Council. Okay, the first one is application 1, which is DC 21 1689 HH, porch to rear elevation, 5 Old Rope Walk. Any comments on that at all? No? Right, can I have a neutral then, please? Can I have a proposal for neutral, please? Councillor Stitchcombe. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's everyone. Thank you. Application 2, which is DC 21 1670 HAZ, storage and processing of a maximum of 140 tonnes of tertiary aniline, P5A, flammable liquids. Category 1, Schedule 1, Part 1 of the Planning Hazardous Substances Regulations 2015. IFF. And noticed on this one that they're holding statutory, the HSE, Health and Safety Executive, holding statutory advice till 7th of January 2022. Is there any comments on this at all? Councillor Burns?
Only that the Health and Safety Executive have basically said they're putting a hold and objection on it until possibly the new year.
Yeah, that's
so
what
they haven't examined it at all. So I think
yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, I know. So I think what you
7th of January.
Well, that's the earliest they're going to do it.
Yeah, that's the earliest. Yeah.
Unless anyone knows what that particular chemical is, but obviously they're going to have to look at it from a accident, fire, whatever else point of view. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a hazardous substance, whatever that may be. It says on as well on that part, there's amendment to the decision notice in 2006, which they gave. I can't understand that because the regulations was 2015. So why they was quoting that to help their case, I don't know. It's strange. Right, okay. So where are we going on this one? Is it a neutral? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, as I say, I propose deferral until the Health and Safety Executive have come back with their recommendations.
Okay, Councillor Stitchcombe?
I second that.
Okay. Right, is there any more comments at all? No? Right, we got a proposal and a seconder for wait until the Health and Safety Executive come back on January 7th or after January 7th before we decide on this. Okay, is that okay? Yeah. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's everyone. Right, thank you very much. Application 3, which is DC 21 1850 HH, small a, removal of existing front dormer window, reinstating the dwelling as a bungalow, small b, single side and rear extension following demolition of existing conservatory and garage. This is 2 Beaumont Court. It looks like they're expanding it from a 2-bedroom bungalow to, or with dormitory window, to a 3-bedroom bungalow. Okay, any comments at all? Councillor Dave Smith?
I don't know if it's relevant or not, but they're increasing this floor space quite considerably. And what's to stop in the future they reconverting the loft into more bedrooms? You know, that's I don't know if that's a material consideration or not, but that would be a concern, I think.
Okay. I also noticed that on Google Maps, the parking spaces are a bit tight. When they build that extension, I think, I'm not sure, I don't think they're not including the garage in with build. And it looks very tight to have 3 cars, especially 2 cars back to back, and the 3rd car will be really hard to get into that part that they've got hard standing. That's my sort of concern, really, is the parking spaces. Right. Is Vicky, could we, or Colin, could we Google that just to show what I meant by what I was saying, please?
Sorry, what was it you wanted to Google?
Google the 2 Beaumont Court.
Google Maps.
Google
Oh,
Maps.
on the Google Maps. Okay, I've got the plans up, so yes, I'll do that.
Because apparently they're going really tight to the next door driveway. We could come back to the plans afterwards. I think, you know, another thing you'll see on this as well, the actual Beaumont Court is very thin road. That's the one, right, facing there. If you go to the actual road itself, because I think that's Beaumont Close. If you go into the, if you can come back, can you, Colin? That's Beaumont Close, that's it, yeah. As you can see, it's quite small, but can you go up a little bit so we can have a look at, that's it. Now turn, please. The other way, or that way, yeah, whatever. You'll have to go all the way around. That's it. Now, if you look next door, can you go a little bit more? That's it. If you look next door, where that blue car, their blue car is, the extension is going over that because they're going to take the old garage down at the back there. And if you look at that boat and that car, you know, that car looks really little, but it'd be squeezed, and getting that 3rd one in that little hard standing by the door would be hard, but they might do it at a squeeze. And also, the only trouble is they won't be able to close them gates. Them gates would be open, but they look like they're open all the time in any case. So, but anyway, that was my concern. Can we go back to the plans, please? Just show the, because they do show the part where it's close to next door, because it's going to cover where that car was, the blue car, the extension. And it says next door's property, yeah, it goes to their drive, goes right up to their drive. Right, thank you, Colin. Right, where are we going on this? I'm Councillor Dave Smith.
Well, although from what I said earlier, it's not ideal, but there's been no objections from the neighbours. So
No.
you would have thought if it was that much of a concern to them, they would have commented. So I propose neutral.
Okay. Councillor Burns?
I mean, there's been none of the statutory consultees have come back yet. I had a quick look at this morning. I just found the bedroom sizes very small, particularly bedroom 3. I mean, I did do a rough, measurements and everything. But I thought bedroom 3 was, because the trouble is that once again, the agent or the architect has used completely the wrong form to fill in for the application. So it doesn't mention anything about bedrooms or and obviously it says the usual thing, won't affect parking. So it might be worthwhile just having a quick look at, I don't know whether Alan or somebody has a bit more detail. I literally only spent 5 minutes on it. I was doing something else and I haven't been brilliant either. So it might be worthwhile commenting on that if you want to.
I'm just sort of taking a quick glance at the, can you see there's 2855 mil proposed extension that goes to the outside of the wall. So if you knock off a bit for that and slide it up, that's more or less the sort of square bit of bedroom 3 is 2.6 meters square plus the lump off to the left. Is that what you
come back? The only thing I was concerned myself is, is this for a single person or a double person? A double person?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 people, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, they don't give a bed. They ain't shown a bed or anything, and that's a problem, isn't it? But we could comment on that, even though we're neutral. We could say, is it for 1 or 2 person? Do you agree with that amendment, Councillor Dave Smith? Yeah. Okay. Right. Can I have a seconder for that then, please? Councillor Smith, seconded. All those in favour, please show. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you for that. Application 4, DC 21 1259 FUL, 1 dwelling, land east of Boyton Hall, farmhouse and Suckling Lane. Just got one comment on this. It's 38 solar panels. How unbelievable, I counted on this one. Wow. Right. You'll have no worries about electricity, which is really good for the environment, isn't it, for this house? Any comments at all? Councillor Smith?
It was interesting to know that neighbours support this as opposed to, the other overdevelopment perhaps that's been submitted in the past in that area. So it's quite nice to see some sort of comment supporting that, rather than your usual, objections. Although it did seem to be quite, to me, still quite a crowded site, but it's a large space, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very large rooms, isn't there, in there to live in? It looks very nice, I must admit.
Yeah.
Councillor Burns? Thank you.
Yeah, I was, because this has come through before the committee previously, this house, and I was trying to work out from the documents, which I did download this morning, what triggered changes, because last time the town council didn't object. I think you were neutral again. They have changed elevations and things like that, but I'm just wondering, whether that was the planning officer talking to them, or I don't know what triggered it from the original plans. It does look quite dense to me, as I think Councillor Liz Smith just said. But all those houses up there are self-build type ecologically sound, whatever you call them. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Councillor Crooks?
Yes, it's incredible how Boyton Hall estate has changed now. You know, this Boyton Hall estate was on the outskirts of town, and you know, I'm driving there virtually every day now. You know, on Boyton Hall estate, and the whole feel of the estate has changed. It's such a built up area now, and so this does take up most of the ground. But I believe it does fit in with what we've created, or what someone's created. You know, it really is a built up area. That whole Anne Suckling is turning into a street now rather than open farmland. Yeah, it's a shame in some respects, but it does actually fit in of what we have created. Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, the original landowner of that area, unfortunately not with us anymore, he wanted them that land as executive housing, so they can get more people, more if you like, more business people into the town and bring jobs into the town. That was his original idea of letting the land, because he owned enormous amount of that land up there, and that's why them sort of self-build big houses have gone in that particular area along that road. Okay, right. I suppose it's a neutral. I can't see any objections or hear any objections, let's say. So can I have a proposal for neutral then, please? Councillor Stitchcombe, can I have a seconder for that, please? I'll second it. All those in favour, please show. Any against? Okay. Application 5. This is DC 21 1444 FUL. Small a, change of use from retail shop class E to hot food takeaway to generis. Small b, or SWE, isn't it? Small b, external extraction and ventilation to rear. And this is 56 High Street. I notice it's got chairs and that. It's also not only a takeaway, it's an eat-in as well, even though it says hot food takeaway. I notice there's tables and chairs there. Right, Councillor Liz Smith.
I notice there's an objection from somebody called Mr. John Burns on there. That's the only comment. But I agree with Councillor Burns' comments. I was wondering, because it's Papillon, isn't it, that are buying it, or the same owner that's buying that property, and it doesn't seem to be an extension of that. It seems to be a completely different takeaway. I couldn't quite work out, because it's got seating in there. It says it's like a customer waiting area, but it almost looks like a partial restaurant. So I don't know if the rest of you sort of had the same thoughts when you had a look at it. It seems to be quite a bit of seating for a waiting area.
Yeah, precisely. That's why I mentioned it. Yeah. Councillor Burns?
Sorry, how do you know I was going to say that? My objection is basically they're given no details of the extraction. All they've done is put on a drawing, they're going to put some extraction equipment in. They need, legally, they need to actually, the type of extraction equipment, where it's going to go to, the external side of things in terms of, is it going to ventilate straight into the flats above, which is, you're not allowed to do. So I'm expecting Public Health and Housing to object, or I hope they will object to that on anyway. So that's why I've reminded him. My comments, which I only put in late this morning, was primarily over yet another loss of retail to a takeaway. I don't know what they're doing here. Whether they're thinking about giving up their existing place and moving into this, I don't know. They haven't applied for a restaurant. It is sui generis, but it actually specifies as a takeaway. They haven't actually asked for a restaurant, so I don't know what that seating is. It didn't look as if it was. I mean, it looks like, I don't know if it's tables for people waiting, but I couldn't think that they would have that many people waiting there. But if they are applying for a thing, then they need to make sure they apply for the right class is what I'm looking for. Sorry. But it's primarily, I mean, it's ventilation again, and also the fact that another loss of retail with absolutely nothing we can do about, unfortunately, unless you had unless they were trying to open up a place in between two other takeaways, then you could actually stop it. But unfortunately not. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Dave Smith.
Yeah, on the plans, they've got a customer toilet there, which is very unusual, not unheard of, but unusual for a takeaway. It seems to lean itself towards an actually sitting type of establishment.
Yeah, can someone help me here? What is it? Why do they have to have a restaurant license and a takeaway license? Is it because of the cost is cheaper for them to apply for that, or is there? Well, it's hard to say really, but is there a reason why they put seating and a toilet in there, and then just applied for a takeaway? I'm foxed. It seems strange. Councillor Burns?
Well, the old-fashioned, prior to last September, you used to have A3 and A5. One was for the restaurant, one was for the takeaway. It's now Class E, but there are various subsections of Class E as well. And it's a lot of it, I think, is historical, which is why the government have decided to just change it without asking anybody. But to me, it looks like they're going to have a restaurant. That's what it looks like to me, definitely, because they've even got a waiting bench there, which would suggest that there's something going on, which is fine if it's if it's a restaurant, which is what we want. But they didn't say that in the application. My comments are purely about the ventilation.
Okay. Councillor Crooks and then Councillor Ucarini.
Could someone put the plans up, please? To refresh my memory, so I can see the restaurant. I can't remember. Is that possible, Colin? Please. Ah, yes.
And there's two, toilets. There's one for the staff and one for the people that, that are bursting to go, even though they want a takeaway.
Yeah, that's a restaurant, isn't it? Excellent. Yeah. Thank you.
It seems really strange, doesn't it? Councillor O'Kearney?
Yeah, just to note that a similar application was put in before and West Suffolk refused it. One on the grounds of harm to the upper floors because of the ventilation, which is in the same position on this plan, and also because the proposed change from A1 to A3, A5 would lead to 3 or more non-A1 units in adjoining premises, which I presume would probably still count for Class E because all 3 in a row will become too generous.
Right, can you sort of, I didn't get the last bit, the bit about all three what?
So you've got one side, you've got Papillon Pizza. The other side, you've got an arcade betting shop. So all 3 units in a row will become too generous. And last time they said that as a consequence, it is considered that this would adversely impact on the vitality of Haverhill Town Centre.
Right. Thank you for that information. It's really, really good. We need to put that forward. Okay. Thank you for that. Have we got a proposer then, please? Oh, Colin?
Yeah, I'm not proposing.
No,
Just
not
a observation whether any of the councillors wish to comment on the access arrangements, given the large step into the premises, the tables so close together, and that the customer toilet doesn't appear to be an accessible toilet.
Really well spotted there, Colin. Which we'll have to remember. Councillor Liz Smith?
Perhaps we should object, therefore, on those reasonings that obviously that Aaron said with the 3 in a row, and also the fact that it doesn't appear accessible.
And the tables too close.
Yeah.
Councillor Dave Smith?
Object because of the fact that the application is not for a restaurant, or does sui generis cover that as a restaurant as well? Because I mean, I'm not objecting. I wouldn't object to there being a restaurant, but it's the fact that that's not what they've applied for.
Good point. Councillor Sitchcombe?
Thank you, Chair. I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's not a restaurant if you provide seating where people can eat a takeaway should they choose to do so. Am I barking up the wrong tree then?
Yeah, it looks like there's a few nods there. Councillor Louis Creamy?
Yeah, so according to the planning classes, it says it's a hot food takeaway where consumption of the food is mostly undertaken off the premises. So their assumption is then it's mainly a takeaway, but they offer some seating.
Ah, that puts us in a really bad position then, doesn't it? Right, I saw Councillor Liz Smith first and then Councillor Burns.
That's a lot of seating though. That is 30 covers, as they call it. Did it cut 30?
Yeah.
You just said it's 30.
30 seats there. Yeah.
Yes, that's quite a lot for just a small seating area, if you see what I mean. So yeah.
Yeah, we got restaurants with less seating than that in Haverhill.
Yeah.
One nearby. Councillor Burns?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and I noticed, I forgot to mention this in my comments to the planning officer, is there is actually no application form on the site. You know, and once again, somebody at West Suffolk has registered his application. They may well have the application, but they haven't uploaded it. So I don't even know whether they've actually even bothered talking to West Suffolk in terms of pre-planning, because it specifically says A5 on their design and access statement. Well, that's been dead for a year now. A5 is, you know, as a class. But the design and access statement, you know, it basically says accommodate a seating area. It doesn't mention, it says emergency routes and fire exits are wide enough for wheelchair users, but it doesn't mention at all the fact it's going to be a restaurant. It just says there's going to be a load of seating areas. When I read that earlier on, I looked at those things. I did also think, well, you're going to have that many customers hanging around waiting for your food. Would you not be better taking all the seating out and getting 50 people in there if you wanted to queue up? But I also took what I thought the comments that Colin made about, you know, getting in. I forgot about there was that raised ledge getting in the building. How they ever got built like that in the first place, I don't know. But so there's no real information here. It looks to me like this is something they maybe did over a year ago. Looking at the number as well, the 1444 is quite an old number this year. So I reckon it's been sat somewhere registered but on the planning portal, but not actually got through the system, because obviously you're looking at much higher numbers, today. So I leave it up to you. But as I say, my comment to the thing was about the type of ventilation.
Right. Just to, obviously, Colin mentioned about the toilet as well, access for disabled toilet. On your ventilation, I don't know if there's people that live upstairs, is there? Oh, there is. So shouldn't that be a sound, the ventilation motors, shouldn't that be quiet?
Well, sorry, Trey, there's absolutely nothing other than on one of the drawings. There's a very much of an outline of ducting, but there's no mention of the capacity, the type of ventilation system, nor what's going to go up the outside rear of the building.
Yeah.
In terms,
should there be should there be a sound suppression system on that?
Noise sometimes is it depends on the type of building. Obviously Papillon next door, I think is probably part of the same building physically. So there may have been conditions on there, but I'd be more concerned with the ventilation system just coming out of the side wall and all the fumes going up into somebody's open window upstairs. And as Colin, I think, is alluding to, is asking where's the fire exit, which actually, when I look at it now on the plan, yeah, there is no fire exit. This looks like it's solid walls all the way around. But there is a. I thought there was Aaron maybe.
There's stairs. There's stairs, and you can see stairs on the plans. Now, the stairs may well be wide enough for a wheelchair user, but that's not necessarily the only consideration wheelchair users have when it comes to staircases.
Have you finished, Councillor Burns? Yeah. Right. Councillor Smith?
I just think, we need to object on all those various issues that we've raised. So we could put those in as comments. So I just propose an objection based on accessibility, the fact that we don't know whether it's to be a restaurant or a takeaway because we haven't really got enough information, or we don't seem to have enough information, and also the extractor fan, and we haven't got enough information about how that's going to work. That Councillor Burns has stated.
Yeah, Vicky, did you get all what Councillor Lucrini said as well? Yeah. Okay. Councillor Sitchkin?
Chair, thank you. The trouble is that if my intuition was correct, that basically they can have people eating their takeaway on the premises, unless you're going to have a pizzometer in there that's going to log how many pizzas are taken out through the door and how many are eaten on the premises. I forget what the phrase was, but it was along the lines of mostly to be consumed off the premises, wasn't it? And unless you want to start trying to measure where the product goes, I don't think you can make a lot of fuss about it looking a bit like a restaurant. Would be my only. I wouldn't necessarily pursue that. I think we've got plenty of objections without pursuing that particular one.
Councillor Burns?
Just historically, I know from people who've got takeaways and things. Yes, you can eat the product on the premises, but you don't normally. And environmental health often, I know, have said this, don't normally provide proper seating for you to do so. You have, like it's got there, a bench or something like that where you maybe just want to sit there and eat that, but not provide 30 odd seats. I think they need to just get the application right. If it really is a restaurant, maybe it might be a bit too dense in the tables perhaps, and also all the other problems. But if it really is a restaurant, then great, let's have a restaurant. The nighttime economy and all that sort of stuff. But they need to get it right. Thank you.
Yeah, you got that, Vicky, about the seating being very close together as well, what Colin said. Yeah. It's all right. I can't hear you, Vicky. You're muted.
So I'm a bit confused now. So are you encouraging the 3 shops together as a nighttime economy, or are you objecting to having the 3 shops together?
Anyone? Any comment on that from anyone? Councillor Ukraini, you mentioned that, didn't you?
Yeah, so we've got.
Yeah, I wasn't. I don't know. I don't know if I have a view or not. Really, I was just saying what West Suffolk said last time, and the town council objected last time for them reasons. I don't know. It depends what we want our town centre to look like.
Right, we've got a couple now. Councillor Stitchcombe and then Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Aaron, did I hear you correctly earlier when you said that possibly sandwiching a restaurant in between 2 takeaways was more acceptable, or have I misremembered that?
So if they're going to go ahead as it being a restaurant, which according to is EB, sale of food and drink for consumption mostly on the premises, they probably wouldn't even need to come to us because it is Class E already. But because they're saying that it's mainly for people to take the food away, it's too generous, and therefore you've got 3 properties in a adjacent to each other that are all the same class.
Thank you. In that case, do we need to make it conditional, don't we? We need to say if it really is a takeaway, then we're objecting. But maybe the application is faulty. That I don't know whether we can go that far. Say that if the intention was for it to be a restaurant, then we'd be happier if it was reapplied for and with the application form.
Vicky? Sorry, Vicky, and then who was it? Councillor Smith?
So is it 3 separate properties then? Because I thought it was just extending Papillion that's already there.
No. Councillor Stitchcombe?
I think the business is applying for planning permission, but not necessarily to run it as the same business. I don't know. It's not clear.
Vicky, you look puzzled.
Can I pop
hold on, Councillor Burns, hold on, because I've got Liz Smith first. No, you're not saying nothing, no? Right, Liz Smith?
We just need clarification. At the end of the day, we don't know. It's if it was to be a restaurant, it needs to be redesigned to be accessible anyway. So I mean, my point is that either we object or defer whatever we decide to do, because we want some more information. I don't think we've got enough information to go on at the moment. Thank you.
You got that, Vicky? Yeah. Councillor Burns and then Councillor Stitchcombe.
I was only going to re-emphasise about what Aaron was saying about the 3 things. So at the moment you've got 2
takeaways.
No, you've got takeaway on one side and a amusement arcade on the other.
Oh yeah.
In terms of the old class side of things, the Papillon Pizza is an A5, and the amusement arcade I think is a D something or other, if I vaguely remember. But all of them have gone to Class E, but with a subsection. What none of us know, and as far as I know, none of us know, is whether the old restriction, which used to be that you could not have 3 sui generis businesses in a row, as is why they objected last time, and the town council objected as well. But I noticed even the design and access statement was dated in January this year. So it's quite old, all of this stuff. And I really think they just really need to relook at that thing. If they're doing a restaurant, do that, but solve all the other problems as well. A lot of these things you think, well, have they ever actually visited the building?
So right, we object on the grounds of 3 sui generis because it's the application is a takeaway, isn't it? Sui generis. So we got to. I didn't say we got to, but I think it'd be best if we object on them grounds that there's 3 in a row, sui generis in a row, and then add all the other comments. If we go that way round, it's more clear, isn't it? How do you feel, Councillor Sitchcombe?
I was going to propose that we phrase it more as Liz was suggesting, in terms of deferring it until X, Y, and Z further information. There's another way around, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Burns?
I was only going to suggest is, and I'm sure Councillor Crooks probably is alluding to this, is if it genuinely is a restaurant, you know, regardless of how many things in there, then we should be trying to support that aspect of it. But they need to get the application right, and also the actual layout right.
Yeah, we got to go what they've put in, haven't we? We can't sort of suppose anything really. No. So I think it's best what Councillor Smith said was deferring it, you know, till it becomes much clearer. Councillor Crooks?
Yeah, I agree with a deferment, ask for more information. And it should be noted that the amusement arcade betting shop, you know, that's been there a long while. You know, that is not a takeaway, despite what you want to call it. You know, it is very popular in the town. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a sui generis bit. It's not because it's not a takeaway or whatever. It's them 3 names, sui generis, together. It gives them sui generis, give them a lot of flexibility, doesn't it, on what they can do? Am I right, Colin, on that?
Sui generis just means of its own type, so it doesn't fit into any of the other planning categories.
So, yeah. Which means give them a bit more flexibility, does it?
No, it just means that when they're trying to work out what classification, if it doesn't fit anything in particular, if it's really a bit of a one-off, then planners will suggest an application under sui generis, so it'll be taken on its own merits.
Right.
It doesn't give them flexibility. It's just that there isn't a class that they can otherwise choose.
Yeah, but as there isn't a class, doesn't that give them flexibility on sort of putting planning applications in?
Well, they should have planning policy to follow. They have planning policy to follow.
Right.
So no, they've still got to comply with everything. It's just that it's how planners look at something.
Right. Okay. Right.
Can I just add to that? Yeah. I mean, I don't understand their design and access statement where it says we want to change it to sui generis brackets A5 takeaway. A5, as it was a planning class. You know, there's no dispute about A5. It's you either have A5 or you don't. Sui generis, as Colin just said, basically says, oh, it's something out of the extraordinary. You know, I don't know, you want to build something that nobody else has ever built there. So I don't. So it's not, I think the
sui generis then, is it?
It's not really, and I think the whole application is totally wrong.
Councillor Cooney?
When they changed the planning classes, A5 went into sui generis, whereas the rest went into like A3 went into Class E.
Oh right.
It did, but you can't have one or the other.
No, yeah, I get
sui
that.
generis or you know.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You got it, Vicky? No.
So we are deferring until we have correct information on the application.
Yeah. Should we leave it at that? Everyone? I can't see any shaking heads. Okay. Right. Can I propose for that we defer it? Councillor Sitchcombe, seconded by Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Right, lovely. Right, the next item on the agenda is item 8, matters to report. To enable members to exchange any urgent planning matters. Anyone? No?
Said enough last time.
Okay. Right, thank you very much, everyone. And the next meeting is on the 2nd of November. Tuesday, the 2nd of November. Okay. Right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending.